In August 2018, a careless video put the seal on a £20 million cocaine empire, one of the UK's biggest criminal operations. The story behind this huge drug bust is more than just the headlines. This is the actual account of how one moment of arrogance brought down a multi-million-pound network that spanned from the streets of Warrington to the heights of organised crime. August the 2nd, 2018, will be a date etched in British crime history. Two vehicles travelling north on the M6 motorway were set to be the location where the UK's biggest land-based drug seizure was made. One of them contained close to 200 kilograms of pure cocaine, worth £20 million hidden under a false floor. The operation that resulted in the record-breaking drug seizure had taken years to plan, but everything changed due to one careless video. The empire that lay behind this activity was secretly built in Warrington, a town that seemed to have ordinary businesses, car rental centres, and quiet family streets. But behind the scenes, three connected criminal organisations were in operation together, running the production, distribution, and sale of substantial quantities of cocaine. At the heart of this network were four dominant players: Jamie Oldroyd, Jamie Simpson, and the Tobin brothers, Alan and John. Jamie Oldroyd ran what seemed to be a legitimate car rental business, but it was a front for his cocaine operation. Oldroyd had everything in place: the warehouses, the couriers, and the routes throughout northwest England. His operation was well established, with all the necessary systems in place to prevent discretion. He rented properties under aliases, regularly changed vehicles, and used disposable phones. He stayed out of serious trouble by not getting too involved in the actual enterprise. Meanwhile, Oldroyd's operation wasn't the only one running in secrecy. The true power behind the network came from the Tobin brothers. Alan and John Tobin were at the heart of the operation. They controlled the flow of cocaine into the UK, ensuring that tons of drugs were transported across the country with military precision. The Tobins relied on encrypted communication devices and trusted couriers to ensure their shipments ran smoothly. Jamie Simpson operated the drug business. His operation was quieter and more organised. Simpson's drivers transported drugs across the nation without being detected. Simpson appeared to be a regular guy to the world, but behind the scenes, he oversaw the constant flow of quality cocaine from the streets to everywhere in the UK. Both Oldroyd and Simpson had perfected their roles in the drug empire, but they were not the only ones making the operation run. The Tobin brothers provided the much-needed supply chain. Without them, the cocaine that powered Oldroyd and Simpson's operations would have dried up overnight. The Tobins didn't rely on street-level deals. They operated with wholesale shipments worth millions. The Tobin brothers were the individuals who brought substantial amounts of cocaine into the UK from Europe in an organised fashion. With satellite phones, trusted couriers, and vehicles equipped with secret compartments, the Tobins made their operations smooth and profitable. These years went by, and the network expanded in secret. But the more money they made, the more arrogant they became. This arrogance would be their downfall. In the mix of this criminal operation was Robbie Broughton, an enforcer for the Tobins. Broughton, a former MMA fighter known as the Bear, was brought in to enforce debts and ensure that those who owed money paid up. Standing over 6 feet tall and weighing close to 18 stone, Broughton made sure the Tobins' business was protected and that no one stood in their way. It was in the spring of 2018 that Jamie Oldroyd and Taulant Paja, his best friend in the group, created a video that would unknowingly alter the fate of their whole crime gang. The video, taken at a secluded spot in Gorse Covert, was a celebration of their achievement. It captured mountains of cash, along with high-end watches and other symbols of success. There was background laughter as the two men enjoyed the fruits of their wrongdoing. They thought it was a private moment. The video revealed their riches, but also a careless mistake that disclosed more than their present-day spending. Oldroyd and Talent's faces were visible, along with the location where the video was recorded. It was more than a video of their wealth. It was a glimpse of the hidden life they had worked so hard to conceal. The video had a lot of specific details, and law enforcement could now match faces to known criminals, track their whereabouts, and assess the scope of their operation. The tone of the video showed that Oldroyd and his associates thought they could not be caught, believing they were above the law. To detectives, this video was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. It provided them with solid evidence, confirming their suspicions and giving them the missing piece in their case. It was the first sign of an empire founded on secrecy and secret compartments, marking the beginning of the end for this complex criminal syndicate. By the spring of 2018, the Cheshire Police had initiated Operation Dreadnaught, an undercover operation against the expanding drug operation of Jamie Oldroyd and Jamie Simpson. This operation would continue for more than 14 months and involve numerous law enforcement agencies collaborating to break down the operation. Already, at this point, the police had been gathering good intelligence on Oldroyd's and Simpson's operations, tracking them across the country. They had the main players, but they also realized that every move they made needed to be cautious. This would not be an easy bust. The authorities also employed several tactics to observe and gather intelligence to support their case. They employed undercover officers to monitor well-established safe houses, namely those leased by Oldroyd and his associates under fake names. These safe houses were hub locations in the network, where drugs were stored and sent out from many ordinary locations. Moreover, the police began to observe couriers who regularly traveled long distances across the UK, often with high amounts of money or drugs. These journeys routinely extended hundreds of miles, from the northwest to London and other major cities. Police were also listening in on phone calls. They were recording conversations and intercepting secret messages, revealing the extent of the network's connection to crime. Tracking money showed strange banking activity, which pointed directly to the money laundering that supported the drug business. But the real change came when the video surfaced. The video, produced by Oldroyd and Talent, generated interest. It provided investigators with clear evidence, locations, and a clearer sense of how large and ambitious the operation was. What had appeared to be isolated crimes now seemed to be part of an even larger global network. On the evening of the 2nd of August, 2018, 4 major members of a cocaine trafficking gang set out on a crucial task. The task was to pick up a huge shipment of cocaine that had been illegally brought into the UK through the English Channel. The cocaine, which was of European origin, had already been processed and was ready for sale. The team, comprising experienced agents Andrew Daniels, Claire Smith, Dean Brettle, and their leader Jamie Simpson, travelled south to Rochester to collect the shipment. As soon as they had left Kent, they had the police following them. The operation had been in preparation for months. Without the criminals knowing, a police helicopter was following them, carefully documenting all turns or changes of direction. Several unmarked police vehicles were following them on the roads at a safe distance, tracing their route. As the convoy headed north on the M6, the police were in position. They had one task: catch the shipment before it reached its destination. As the convoy approached Junction 19, close to Knutsford, the police closed in. The road was soon shut down, and dozens of police cars surrounded the convoy in every direction. Escape was out of the question. At exactly 8:31 p.m., the police cars closed in on the convoy. The officers immediately arrested the 4 men in the convoy. The tension grew around the van as it was being searched. In the van, the officers discovered the 186 kilograms of high-purity cocaine, neatly packaged in blocks, ready for distribution. This was one of the biggest land-based drug seizure in history. For the criminals, the operation was finished. The police had successfully shut down one of the most sophisticated drug-dealing operations in the UK, ending years of illegal activity. The news of the £20 million cocaine seizure spread like wildfire, reaching the criminals and the police within hours. For the criminals, the scale of the seizure meant only one thing: their empire was going to come crashing down. Panic broke out. The huge network, which had been operating in secret for so long, was now exposed, and its members knew they were finished. Immediately, the police initiated a series of coordinated raids at several locations. They broke into safe houses, stash houses, and other significant locations associated with Oldroyd and Simpson's operation. With every raid, more drugs and large amounts of money were seized. Proof of the criminal venture accumulated quickly. Oldroyd's operation, which had been so secretive and effective, started to disintegrate. One after another, significant members were taken into custody, including Oldroyd himself. The trials of those involved in the huge cocaine operation were held at Liverpool Crown Court. There, the prosecutors showed all the details about the criminal plan. For weeks, the court saw clear evidence gathered over several months. They showed the surveillance footage, the calls, and the data from the raids, which clearly explained how the criminal gang worked. The enormous size of the operation, spanning from the UK to Europe, was evident. Jamie Oldroyd, the ground operations leader, received a 14-year and 3-month prison sentence. Jamie Simpson, his co-conspirator, who arranged the logistics and transportation, received an 11-year and 6-month sentence. Robbie Broughton received an 8-year and 6-month sentence. The rest of the network, comprising of couriers, stash house operators, and street-level sellers, received varying sentences, ranging from 3 to 9 years, depending on the importance of their role in the illegal network. The Tobin brothers, John and Alan, were the brains behind the crime operation and were the major cocaine dealers. They were key players behind the operation's success, importing and selling massive amounts of drugs. Alan Tobin was sentenced to 20 years in prison, and John Tobin was sentenced to 19 years and 8 months. Through these convictions, the main criminals behind one of the largest drug-running operations in the UK were brought to justice. Oldroyd's cocaine empire fell apart because of pride, careless actions, and one foolish video. The operation, which used to run smoothly, broke down very quickly. The investigation, the arrests, and the trials ended one of the biggest drug trafficking operations the UK had ever experienced. If you enjoyed this crime story, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We would love to know which part you believe truly changed the destiny of this drug empire. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.